everyone and welcome to a new series called Improving Your Chess, where I take random games and explain their mistakes so that you don't do them in your game. So today's rating category is between rating 600 to rating 700. So let's start with the game. White opens with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to f6, the better of defense. White goes for d4, which is a line, and black goes for knight c6, which is not a good move. Here you can take this pawn, or you can take the e4 pawn. So these two are both options because you take the center pawns, but knight to c6 allows white to push his pawn further, and now after this knight moves, then this pawn becomes unprotected. Here black plays knight to d4, and here white has a big advantage in the opening because here he can take the free pawn, but not only does he get the pawn, but here the knight is trapped. He cannot move anywhere. Here bishop defends it. These two squares the pawn defends. This square is also defended by the pawn. Again by the pawn. And the other squares are also defended by white's pieces. If black tries to defend it with another piece, then white will just attack it, and now he doesn't have anywhere to move and he'll lose the piece eventually. But in the game, white takes knight into d4. Here he gets the pawn, but he doesn't get the piece like how he was getting earlier after knight into e5. So here white is happy with the pawn, he takes the pawn. Here black plays queen to e7, he attacks the pawn. White develops his knight and defends the pawn, which is a good move. d6, he doesn't want to allow e5. Bishop g5, developing your pieces and creating threats, which is very good. Black plays c5, which is also a good move, you want to ruin the queen. Here there is en passant, and you can remove the threat, but here white plays bishop into f6, which is not a great move because here black has c into d4. Now if you take the queen, you lose your knight. If you continue to take pieces, here they c into b2 attacking the rook. You're threatening to promote into a queen. White has to defend the threat and then you collect the bishop. And black has a lot of activity now comparing the previous position. But here black played g into f6 and helps white. Here white again gains the advantage. He plays queen to a4 check here. Black plays bishop d7. White involves another piece in the game, and now white can castle on both sides. The queen side looks better because the king side can be attacked by the rook. Here black takes the bishop, and here white takes with the queen, giving a check. Knight takes b5 was better because here black is forced to move his king. If he plays any other move, then there can be a discovered check. Let's say if you play queen to d7 and try to defend the threat, there is knight to c7. Now the queen is pinned. So black will have to move his king and he'll lose castling. But again, white doesn't see the advantage. Here black offers a queen trade. White just long castles, he's waiting for black to trade. Black plays bishop h6 check, king b1, and black also long castles. Both are waiting for each other to trade the pieces. Here white plays g3 with a very nice idea to play f4 and stop his bishop from controlling this diagonal, and it will be passive. Here black plays a6. Now white is forced to decide where this queen will move. He decides to trade it. Rook into d7. Now f4, he follows his plan. Rook e8, rook h e1, and f5, which has a good idea to maybe activate this bishop on this diagonal, but also gives a free pawn, so it's not good. Black trades the rooks, and now plays bishop g7, activating the bishop. White plays knight e4, he realizes that he doesn't want to create double pawns, and he feels his knight is important. Rook e7 tries to pin this knight, but misses that there is knight into d6 check, and then you can trade the rooks. But unfortunately, white also misses knight into d6 and plays f6, giving a double attack, which looks very good, but there is bishop into f6. Now if you take the bishop, you lose the rook, and not only do you lose the rook, it's a mate in one. So white directly loses the game. Here instead white now played knight into d6 check, and now he trades the rook and takes the f7 pawn, which is also fine. He still has an advantage, he's doing good. Black takes his king to b6, which is not a good move. Your king is defending this pawn from promoting. King b6, and here white has a lot of extra pawns on the king side. He just needs to help them promote. h4, c4, d6, bishop to f6. White is going to promote his pawn, so black takes his king back. And here white plays g4, which is not a good move. You just give the pawn free. Although you can't defend it, here you can play d8 equals to queen, sacrificing your pawn again. But after bishop into d8, knight into d8 and king into d8, you have exchanged the bishop, and now you can easily get your king and promote your pawn. If black tries to get his king and try to capture your pawns, he can't, because this g3 pawn protects both the pawns. If he takes the g3 pawn, then this f5 pawn promotes. I know the arrows are becoming too much, but you have to calculate to become a better chess player. So here white is winning, but white decides to go for g4, which is still winning. Black takes the pawn, white pushes g5, here black plays king to e7. Here white can just take his knight back and he can try to promote his pawns again. But here he takes this bishop, which is not a good move. Black just takes the knight, and now these pawns are all weak, there's no one to defend them. This king is in time to stop it, but white plays c3, and now black is winning. He takes the pawn. White decides to push his pawns on the queen side and try to find some advantage there, but black is now totally winning because he can just take these pawns and white cannot do anything on the queen side. But black helps white and plays b5, disturbing his queen side pawn structure. And now after takes, white plays king a2, which is the best move. He'll get his king to a3 and b4, and now he'll capture these pawns, and he'll be also in time to push the pawn when black also pushes his pawn into a queen, so both will promote at the same time. Here black plays king to f5, but here white plays b4, and this was not according to the plan, because now you can't even enter from this side. The pawns defend the square, and now white has no hope. Black will just collect the pawns and promote. So black takes the pawns, white is just moving his king, king g4, and now white decides to get it towards this side. Here black plays king g4, which is little slow. King g3 would have been better, and then you can put your king to g2, and this king cannot sit here and stop the pawn from promoting. You can just push the pawn and promote. But okay, king g4 is still winning. King d2, king f4. Maybe his idea is once the white king goes to stop this pawn, he'll capture these pawns. King e2, h5, king f2, h4, king g2, and king g4. Maybe he changed his plan. King e4 could win, but king g4 is also fine. King h2, h3, king h1, king g3, king g1, and now maybe after h2, king h1, he'll play king to f3 and collect the pawns. Maybe he just wanted to take the king to the last rank. h2, king h1, and here you don't want to play king h3 because it will end up in a stalemate. Oh, but black plays king to h3, just a stalemate, and here the game ends in a draw. So in the starting white was winning, he took the game till the end game, he played it well, but then black got the advantage in the pawn end game, and then again it was equalized, and then black had a winning advantage again, but it ended in a draw. So in this game we learned a lot of things. Here we learned that you should take the pawns in the center, you don't want two pawns to come in the center. And here you should look for better moves once you find a move. And same goes for this position, there was knight into b5. White converted it very smoothly. He played f4. He found this nice idea to play f4. Black tried his best to activate his pieces. White did some inaccuracies in the middle, but in the end it came down to the pawn endgame skills where both players did not play well. So yeah, then it ended in a draw. So I hope you learned something from this game. This is Edrick Vaz Chess. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video.